senatorial district, and of course, Senator Harper, before we left, you were talking about some of the issues that you're involved in, especially the March 15th activity. Let's pick that up because I think that's a very, very important development.
I think many of us in the larger community sometimes feel that we don't have access and we don't have knowledge of what goes on, how decisions are made, particularly judicial decisions. So Delta Sigma Theta of Nashville and across the state of Tennessee, we're having the Delta Day on Capitol Hill, and some of the pre-activities will be a community forum on the 15th. That's on a Sunday evening at 3 o'clock at Hatley Park. And we have invited all of the Supreme Court justices to come out and let us ask questions. The topic is judicial fairness, judicial accountability. And Judge A.A. Birch is going to be the moderator for that program. And then following that on Monday, at 5 o'clock, we're having an educational forum with the Commissioner of Education, Commissioner Jane Walters. And we're concerned about accountability. You know, if Johnny can't pass, who's accountable? And that's what we're going to talk. In addition, we're going to ask her to talk about charter schools and talk about the educational system in Tennessee as a whole. When we talk about retaining our children because they can't make the grade, who's responsible? You know, are we responsible as policymakers? Are our parents responsible as the ones who actually chart the life and the course of a child? One of the things that we did in the legislature, the Women's Caucus, there are about 18 females in the House and Senate.
Talk about that caucus.
Well, we went on a listening tour. I just feel that it's more to life and more to being elected than going down to the Capitol and down to the Legislative Plaza and staying and passing bills. I feel that we should get out in the community, let people see us, let them hear from us, and we hear from them. So we charted a course. We went to Hickman County and went to Giles County in Pulaski, Tennessee. And it was unbelievable the number of people who came out. They came out, asked questions, and we responded. They have ideas of how government should work, how it can be changed for the better. We went to the schools, visited schools. One of the things that they showed us was in-school suspension. There are schools in the rural areas, they don't suspend children from school. When you're suspended from the class, you go in a room and you do everything in that room. You sit there all day facing a wall in a cubicle working. You have your lunch there. All of your friends who are suspended, you're all there together. And you have a teacher there who assures that you get that lesson. So I think that's better rather than sending a child home. Because what can unsupervised, what can a 7, 8, 9, 10, 12-year-old do at home while their parents are at work? So we learned from that. They were concerned about their having to administer medicines. They were concerned that children come to school with lice and they send them home and they send them right back. They're concerned about homes that's dysfunctional and children are removed from the home and then they're placed right back in those situations. So they had, and then they talked about the TIPS money. That's the industrial development money. They wanted to know why it would appear that it was being cut off. And some of that money, you know, comes in from the federal government.
Now, what's this TIPS money?
It's money that's designed for, it's like startup or for reinforcing communities, municipalities and cities. And you must meet a certain criteria to get it. It also is used for businesses who are working on infrastructure, you know, if they need water systems run through, or other things that's a part of the infrastructure for a new business, relocating a business. And there are areas who say they must have a certain employment percentage and other criteria that they must meet. But when the money starts to dry up, then none of those areas receive that money. So we're taking a close look at where the money is going. I think when you look at our state, we have a significant growth that's going on, Nashville and other areas. But also we have a significant number of businesses who are either pulling up, relocating somewhere else, or just closing down completely. And there are many contributing factors to that. We think, well, it's because they can go to Mexico or someplace else and sell cheaper. That isn't always it. Sometimes their products are just, there's not a market for the products. And they close up. But when those businesses close, it has a significant impact on a community.
It's as if they went to Mexico. Or,
That's exactly right. Well, what we found, we went to one of the daycare centers where the Levi Strauss plant is located. And what they said to us, we don't know how we're going to manage when they're gone because we keep the children of the mothers who work there. And the Levi Strauss company had been a significant financial contributor to them. So it isn't just that business leaving. It impacts the businesses in the city and the families because they buy new homes and new cars and educate their children on that. So I think we have to look at what is it we can do or what is it that we're not doing that's attracting new businesses.
Very good. You know, Senator Harper, we've got about 45 seconds left and we're coming to the end of this show. But let me take this opportunity to thank you for coming by and giving us that excellent information. And it's always such a joy to talk to you because you're involved in so many things. And I know that if we get you here to talk about some of the things that you're doing, then we find we have a fairly good idea about what's going on in the Tennessee General Assembly, because I think that you're recognized as being involved in just a whole variety of activities. And I think you mentioned earlier that people called you outside of your district. Well, I think what you have to understand is that you're sort of a servant of all districts because people understand where you stand on these issues. And this is not to say that they can't find the support. But let me thank you and let me encourage you to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments.